This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Journey with us to a destination bursting with boundless beauty, abundance, and limitless adventure. Wait, look around. Open your eyes and ears, my fellow freelance lunatics. You are already there. It's the internet, a wondrous land of glorious travel opportunities, dream vacation ideas, and clickbait. I'm Jamie Alcroft, here with our guests, Glenn Scarpelli and Melinda Liberatore. Now, listen as I artfully toss to our host, Louise Palanker, Weezy.
Thank you, Jamie. That was dulcet. Yes, today we are focusing on how travelers and those who cater to travelers are using the internet to find one another. And while we were speaking about clickbait, I think this qualifies as clickbait because we can advertise, like, see what Glenn Scarpelli looks like today.
Yeah.
And
look at
boom.
him in all his glory.
There he is.
There he
You
is.
won't believe what Glenn Scarpelli looks like today. So Glenn Scarpelli is joining us via Zoom video conferencing, and you are in Arizona, Sedona?
Sedona, Arizona, coming to you live. Beautiful day here.
Thank you for joining us. Glenn and I go back to Metro Tape, where I was a young page girl. Cut to photo.
Oh.
Right?
That's awesome.
And Glenn was a younger TV star.
Oh.
And let's see, we're gonna Google Glenn because we're very thorough on things I found online. We have to make sure that we can actually find people online. Otherwise, they may not actually exist. We have to, this is how we check a pulse. So there's Glenn. Glenn Christopher Scarpelli is an American former child actor and singer. He is perhaps best known for his role as Alex Handress from 1980 to 1983 on the sitcom One Day at a Time. By way of full disclosure, I was a young page girl and a photography enthusiast, and I was like practicing my photojournalistic capabilities or stalking Glenn. I'm not sure, but I took I took some photos that I think that looks really artful. I don't know that I knew I was being that artful, but that's Glenn. If you were to zoom in on that, and Glenn, you can rattle. There you are with Dana Hill. You can rattle off.
I gotta tell you, Louise, that shot of the actual set during the taping, like no one has a picture of that. Like I think you might be the only person that ever shot that picture.
Really? Because I was
from the back of the house, from the back of the studio. Yeah, it's so I treasure it. I treasure that shot. Thank you so much.
The stairways that you would take the studio audience up? That's where I was standing and lurking.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you can see all your co-stars. If you click on the picture again, I bet Glenn can look even from far away and identify everybody in that shot.
Yes. So I believe it's Boyd Gaines, Valerie Pinelli, Bonnie Franklin, myself, and Pat Harrington.
That's amazing.
Pat. Oh, boy.
I love those old tube TVs, too, that you're seeing up there as the monitors. That's so fun.
Oh, wow, that's so funny.
Who did warm-up for your show? Do you remember?
Well, Norman Lear originally started doing the warm-up. By the time we got to this season, though, Alan Rafkin, who was our director, would do the warm-up every
that's right. Alan did it.
Good for him.
Oh my God. Alan was like so funny. Yeah. Like he would sometimes tease the pages. Like one day I was sitting there with this other page named Sharon and I was just like, so what's up? And she's like, nothing. And she's like, what's up to you? And he just looks at both of us and he goes, you're riveting. Like burned by the director. Damn it. I'm never going to make it in show business. So can you click on the last photo that I brought? Cause I love this one. This is me. I was trying to get a job writing for Tiger Beat or something, and I had like written like a spec article about what it's like to be a scrappy young page girl. So that's why I was taking photos in black and white, and Glenn was sweet enough to say, okay, because that's Tommy Cole, who was a Mouseketeer, and that's former child star administering to child star, and probably telling you a thing or two about, what adult life held in store for you.
Yeah, I remember Tommy's line in that show. I'm Tommy.
Oh, yeah, he did say I'm Tommy.
That was about it.
And if you look at this one, Glenn, you can see me in the mirror.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, that's a good, nice shot of you.
Oh my gosh,
With the
Louise,
camera.
that's so cool. I don't know if I ever noticed you in the picture.
Isn't that crazy? I just noticed it too.
Photo bombing her own photo.
Hilarious.
Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
No, that is so wonderful. I mean, I've known you since I was like 14 years old.
Yup, and I love your parents, and you guys were so much fun. There were child stars all over the set, so you guys had a blast.
And look at him. Tommy's working on your neck. You always had trouble with your neck, didn't you?
Neck was my issue.
His
I
neck
don't
is-
know.
I don't know.
what to
He just
say.
didn't want that line where the
Crepe.
makeup starts and Glenn begins, you know.
Crepe neck.
The blend, you got to blend. But go ahead and talk about some of the other kids that were on the set on the lot with you, because there were a lot of really iconic shows
Truly.
being taped the year that I was a page.
Yes. And it's so interesting because I was literally, I went to school in the back lot of Universal Studios, first Metromedia Square, of course, and then Universal Studios. So in Metromedia, we had different strokes. So it was Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges, Dana Plato. We had Silver Spoons originally started there and then moved with us, of course, to Universal. With
We had
Schroeder
Ricky and Jason Bateman.
and Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Wow.
I absolutely
A great
adore.
kid. Yeah.
I mean, we all got along so good. We had so much fun on those shows. But at Metromedia, we also had Gimme a Break. So we had all three of the girls, Kari Michaelson.
And I tried to get Laura Jill to come today, so we're going to have to do it again. Maybe when you're in town, I'll get her here.
Yeah.
We just talked on Facebook recently. We said we really need a reunion. And I talked to Kari Michaelson kind of.
Oh.
So it really would be fun to do something together. That would love it.
Let's have a reunion right here on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. We can do that.
Lori Hendler, we were such good friends.
fun.
And,
Yeah. And you had all the Facts of Life girls.
and then all the Facts of Life.
Yeah.
That was just so wonderful. By the time, I think Lisa wasn't really in school at that time. She was actually a little older than everybody else. So it was Nancy and Kim.
Mm-hmm.
And Mindy, every once in a while, Mindy actually went to her own school primarily and would bounce back and forth between her own school and the set.
Right.
But Nancy and Kim were my buddies. Kim, to this day, she just texted me a picture of my old condo that I used to live on Barham Boulevard,
Oh my gosh.
right across the street. And she just texted me a picture and said, "Look who I'm thinking of." And oh my gosh, look at those! I love those.
That's Billy. He was the sound guy, and Nancy and Kim.
Wow.
Cute.
Very
so
cute.
cute. Oh my God, I totally remember Billy
Yeah, he was so cute.
because he was cute.
Right. All the girls had all the girls in Glen had a crush on him.
Remember,
Yeah, I was just gonna say not only girls.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
he's adorable.
All the girls and
I'm
boys.
crushing on him right now.
Exactly. He's how I reconnected with Laura because, Glenn, this is an off story, but I was doing stand up at this little coffee shop and Billy came up to me and recognized me and he's like, "Are you still in touch with Laura Jill?" And I was like, "No," because it was like before Facebook, right? You didn't know where people were. And he's like, "Oh, I am." And he hooked us back up. And so, he lives in Studio City, so he knew everybody.
Well, let's have him on the show.
We'll have Billy on.
Yeah, well, Billy
the
on.
sound guy. Yeah, sure.
all the crew.
So, Glenn, give us some background on how you graduated from child star / teen idol to adult businessman and travel industry professional.
Well, I'll give you the abridged version because we might need a bottle of wine for the long version.
And
we did the show in the 80s, and it was a very different time back then. I did another show following One Day at a Time called Jennifer Slept Here on NBC. I also co-hosted a daytime show on NBC called Fantasy, and I had a really wonderful run. I truly enjoyed my childhood, but I always knew I was gay, and I just didn't know how to be gay and out, and I wasn't willing to play the game that everyone expected of me. So really, I left show business to be gay. I fell in love with this guy in New York.
Really?
He was a theatrical manager, about 11 years older than me. I was 18 going on 19 at the time. And I just decided to take a little break. I needed some privacy. I didn't want to be in that microscope anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to live an authentic life. I really just wanted to be true to myself. So I kind of chose love over career.
No,
But
I
I
think
did
you also chose authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
really grounded and solid.
What was it back then that made you fear that coming out was going to change any of this life experience that you were enjoying?
Well,
being an
just
actor?
society in general, and the way gay people were treated, and AIDS had just kind of hit our society, and there was so much discrimination. I mean, this was look what happened to Ellen, and that was what, the late 90s, mid 90s. This was
we're
15 years
We're
prior to
going
that.
we're going at warp speed, and so we it's hard and even painful to look back and think about where we were. But Glenn's right; he had to do what he did, even though half the child stars were gay. And like now, who cares? But back then, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, they were?
Yeah, really? Half of them?
I think kids who are interested in show business a lot are, and it's like,
Told me, damn, I want to know a list.
I'll send you a list. Like, I know. I have no idea. I'm just saying, I just think it doesn't matter now, and it mattered a lot then.
No, it mattered a lot. It really did. It really mattered a lot. And so I did go to NYU Film School. I went and stayed in the industry. I did a guest starring role on a show called Amazing Stories, which was produced by Steven Spielberg. Mm-hmm. And my episode was directed by Martin Scorsese.
Wow.
And I actually shared with him that I was getting disillusioned with the business, and I didn't actually say why.
Right.
And I didn't say the business. I actually said acting. I'm getting disillusioned with acting. And he goes, you should go to film school. He said, let me see what I can do for you at NYU. And then I got a phone call like 3 days later saying, NYU.
That's awesome.
I know. It's pretty cool.
So you learned every aspect of the business.
Yeah, I only have positive things, memories.
Yeah.
I feel like I won the lottery in my life, truly. And I did everything I need. I was on Broadway, and I had a record album. I had my own float at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I was on American Bandstand. Like, I've had all these I sang for the president at the White House once for George H.W. back in the day. And so I had all these incredible experiences. So I never felt like I missed out on anything.
I don't think you did.
I really wanted to. I fell so madly in love. His name was Gary Scalzo. And I say his name because during that relationship, we recognized that he was HIV positive, and he died when he was 36 years old.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
We were together 7 years. I was 25 when I buried my husband. I say husband, although we all know that, marriage equality was but a dream back then.
Right.
So, I call him my husband, my first husband.
Well, I'm sure you were a blessing for him.
How sad. Yeah. But that's wonderful, though, that you really got to experience so much. I say it was so sad because you weren't able to be yourself, and you were in a community that would probably have accepted you, I think.
The backstage community would have, but the public facing,
the corporate part of
the teen idol
part, really, it was the studios and such that didn't want to take a risk on gay actors.
Yeah,
it's really the truth. They were afraid they were going to lose their audience. So that I totally understood that whole thing. And I kind of dug being a little, blended in the crowd. I moved to Manhattan. What a great place to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So I was able to not have that microscope, because I had it for, a good 9-10 years when you look at, my young career. So it was kind of nice not to. And I was able to just be with him. But once he got sick, there was so much discrimination on the planet for HIV/AIDS in the 80s, early 90s. He died in 92.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be the primary caretaker. I mean, we couldn't even get things covered. We couldn't even get home care. Like, no insurance would touch it. So I was his primary caretaker. I did everything, got him to the bathroom, changed his sheets in the middle of the night, all that stuff. So it was quite a profound experience, if you will.
Yeah.
Learning so much about, who I was and what life was all about.
Mm-hmm. And what matters.
So I really learned so much. So after he passed away, I kind of just wanted to like restart my life. I was like, okay, I was a little angry at God. I was a little angry at life. I felt like I was a little gypped because, he was taken so young.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just did a restart. So I moved to Belize, Central America, in the jungles of Belize with a couple friends. And we lived off the land for almost a year.
That's fun.
You have such healthy instincts, Glenn.
Great.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was wonderful. I look back and I'm very proud of myself, actually. But I totally needed to unplug from what the world was teaching me at that time because I kind of didn't feel like I understood any of it. I felt like I knew freaking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this place called? What is this place all about? So I went and I fished for my food and we showered in, creeks and the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived with these people called the Garifuna people. And they are direct ancestors of slave ships from Africa. And they had nothing. We didn't have running water. We didn't have electricity. And after dinner, we'd all sit around this fire and we'd all just enjoy life, bang pots and pans, sing songs. I saw these people who had nothing happier than most of the people I knew in Hollywood.
And you'd tell them showbiz stories.
Yeah, I would tell the Shelvin stories. It's so funny.
And delight them.
You're
around
like,
the
I know Eddie Van Halen. Like, I actually do.
But I did go down with a Frank Sinatra T-shirt, and they had one little radio, a battery radio.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, "Is that what Frank Sinatra looks like?"
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
Very cool. I had a little video camera, and I took videos of the kids, and they saw themselves on screen for the first time. It was really an incredible experience.
Oh,
I have no regrets whatsoever.
Why did you leave? Why did you leave there? What was your next step?
I was kind of done. I was definitely done with that chapter of my life. I was ready to move on. I felt like, let me tell you my takeaway from that experience. Mm-hmm. I found that the simplest things in life are the things that fulfill us. We come from a country that wants more of everything. Mm-hmm. More, a better job, a nicer car, a bigger house, more food. We're gluttonous in many ways. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to take these lessons and go back into the real world and just be happy with the simple things. So that was my big takeaway from Belize, and it changed my life. It really did. And I'll share with you, on another very deep level, through that experience after Gary passed away, I just felt incredibly loved. So whether you call it, whatever you want to call that, God, universe, I call it just most high love. I just felt so loved that I knew that I had some purpose in this life, because there was a time probably after he died that I wanted to go with him. Mm-hmm. And I was shown that I had a life to live. Mm-hmm. So Belize was part of that journey for me, but it wasn't the end all. I knew I had some other sort of purpose and I needed to get back into my world. So I did move back to the States and I found Sedona, Arizona, where I'm sitting right now. I've been here 25 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Red Rock Fever.
Red Rock Fever.
So Glenn appears on the ABC 15 Arizona Morning Show live on the air every Friday. He produces and hosts Discover Sedona Now segments showcasing Northern Arizona and encouraging folks to visit. So we've got your website here. And it's a really nice website. It's very glitz. It's like one of those really heavy magazines that they put outside your house. Like with the fancy neighborhoods.
Much.
Yeah. Like the website feels like one of those elite, what's the word for it? Like high end, I guess. Yeah, the website feels like a high end magazine. And look how pretty everybody is.
Beautiful.
So tell us, Glenn, what you hope people will find when they come to this website or when they see some of your content.
Well, you see, I have such a deep connection and passion for Sedona. I just love sharing it and spreading the joy that people come here for. It's a very special place. If you've never been, Louise, I don't know, you really need to come visit me.
I need to come visit you. I've been twice, and I'm coming back to hang out with Glenn.
Please do. Please do. All of you. So, I came to Sedona in the quick abridged version. I didn't know what I was going to do. I found it. I drove into Sedona. A friend moved here. I was here 30 seconds, and I felt like I came home.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm a New Yorker, and I lived in LA most of my life. So I'm like, what is going on? So I decided to come to Sedona, and I got cable in this little rental house that I was renting when I first got here, and channel 18 was a blue screen. So I called and said, what is going on? I don't get this. I think I'm having an issue, maintenance. And they said, oh, no, the station is available. Would you like to buy it?
What?
Exactly.
That never happens when I call cable. Like, I'm not getting this channel. Would you like to be on it?
Yeah. Would you like to buy Hulu?
Yeah, this could be yours. So I actually opened a local TV station, Sedona Now TV. That's the website you're seeing. And we've been on the air now. We're in our 19th year as Sedona's #1 television station. So we're very proud of that.
So the channel is in approximately 10,000 homes throughout the Verde Valley, and they are seen in 95% of all hotels, resorts, timeshares, and B&Bs. They reach roughly 1.5 million overnight visitors per year. The segments that Glenn creates for Discover Sedona Now are also available online. How big a role does the internet play, do you believe, in the travel choices that people are making?
Oh, I think it's absolutely huge. It's definitely huge. It's so interesting because when I started the station, there was no internet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to actually take notes, like watch the channel and then take notes and then call the number.
That. Pick up a pen when you're watching our station, write down all the phone numbers you want to go to eat and do things, because we're basically all the wonderful things to see and do in Sedona. That's the concept of our TV station, and that's also the concept of our segments on ABC 15 statewide out of Phoenix every Friday morning.
So if we're, let's say Jamie and his wife Sarah are in Sedona for 3 days, what do they need to do?
Well, Sedona has a little bit for everyone, so it depends on what you're looking for. What most people do is enjoy the land. There is incredible hiking and biking. We're probably one of the biggest biking meccas in the world. We have over 300 miles of hiking available and trails available here in Sedona. And there's something special about being out in the middle of nowhere. And you don't have to walk very far to feel that. When you see nothing man-made any longer, you just see the glory of our planet the way it was meant to be. And we have incredible rock formations. We have 2 beautiful water sources here. We're in the mountains. So we have Oak Creek and the Verde River. So we also have that, which is very odd for a desert. So that's very special. And then there's all kinds of tours and restaurants and spas. I mean, you name it, you got it. We have Jeep tours, incredible Jeep tours, pink Jeep tours, Day in the West Jeep tours. We have trolleys that can take you all over town. We have incredible resorts. I mean, really, some of the most beautiful resorts in the world are here in Sedona, Arizona, with some of the most beautiful views. And spas, this is one of those locations that a lot of ladies get away and do their spa weekends here together, and it's an incredible place to do that.
Well, Glenn also works on a morning show called Sonoran Living, which is on in between Good Morning America and The View throughout all of Arizona. And we're going to click on a segment to show you a little bit of what Glenn does.
Are you ready to escape the heat? Go up north. I know I am. If so, we've got a great deal for you as we help you discover Sedona Now. If it's relaxation and adventure that you're after, Mr. Sedona himself, Glenn Scarpelli, he is taking us on a tour of a Sedona Real resort. And you're going to get a ride with Barlow Adventures.
Today we are at the beautiful Sedona Real Inn & Suites, your Sedona Adventure Hotel. We're about to eavesdrop on a conversation here at the family park at the Sedona Real with owner Rob Holman, who sat down with Nina Barlow, owner of Barlow Adventures, the best place to rent a Jeep to drive your own tour.
Did you guys know that everything in Sedona is in slow motion?
Everything you need to know for a Sedona adventure.
Yeah, it's the altitude and the gravity.
And the dry,
the dry heat.
It's the dry air. And, and it'll rain there every once in a while, but it is dry rain.
It's a dry rain. So define, if you will, Sonoran.
Well, Sonoran, out here in Arizona, we have the Sonoran Desert.
Okay.
And Maricopa County, which is the largest county in Arizona, is in the Sonoran Desert. But we're up in the mountains. Like right now, it's probably 80 degrees here, even though it might be over 100 degrees down in Phoenix. We're at almost 5,000 feet elevation here in Sedona. So we're a wonderful getaway, even in the summer. People don't really realize that because they hear Arizona and they think hot. We have monsoon seasons. We have a monsoon rolling in right now. My dogs might freak out, by the way, if it starts thundering. So just be aware. Heads up on that one.
You get thunder
really,
there?
Really, really wonderful and beautiful.
Wow, I remember that.
So, Glenn, talk about the production of the pieces. Do you work closely with area tourism businesses to create the content?
Yes, I do, actually. And I produce, I direct, I host. We work very closely with our partners when we do these segments. I also work very closely with the Sedona Chamber of Commerce, who are just such a wonderful organization to promote tourism in our area and to do it in the right way and in a sustainable way. We encourage folks to come up and respect our land. We encourage folks to come up and even give their car a vacation. So, the other thing I want to share about Sedona that I absolutely love is that we are a dark sky city. We're an international dark sky city, which means that we literally, you're not allowed to have traffic lights. All the lights, there's ordinances when you even build that all the lights have to be facing down. So our starry nights are so incredible. The first time I ever got out of my car in Sedona and I looked up, I gasped.
Wow.
Could not believe. I lived in New York and LA all my life. Like, you don't see a whole lot of stars, you know? And the Milky Way, you can literally touch the Milky Way at night. It's so heavenly and so gorgeous.
Literally.
When are we going to Sedona?
We're gonna do.
Let's wrap this up.
Let's go.
Let's have a Metro Tape Sedona weekend reunion.
Let's do it.
How fun would that
Louise,
be?
I love that so much. We'll invite Kyle too, even though he wasn't part of that.
Of course.
Coming to
I
Sedona.
love Kyle. Shout out for Kyle C.
Does Robert Shields still have a store in Sedona?
Well, Robert is still a friend of mine here in Sedona. He doesn't have a store right now.
I remember because I heard that he was an
incredible artist.
Yeah, I was part of a comedy team, Mac and Jamie, and he was with Shields and Arnell, of course. And I heard that he had gone, being a jeweler myself, I heard he'd gone to Sedona and was making jewelry.
Yes, he makes incredible jewelry. His jewelry is seen throughout the town, but it's seen all over the world. He goes to a lot of shows these days.
Oh, good.
It's so funny that you mentioned him because we were just talking on Facebook. I hadn't seen him in a very long time, and we're talking about getting together. So I will send him your regards when I see him.
Oh, that's
okay. He has no idea who I am, but please
if Shields and
give him my
Yarnell,
very best.
If you're in a group with "and" as the middle name, like Shields and Yarnell, Mac and Jamie, Seals and Crofts, they all hang out together.
Yeah, all
at
the
least in
ands.
my head they do.
I love it. And Louise, we could be Glenn and Louise.
Yes, let's be Glenn and Louise.
Yeah, well, let's invite.
I love it.
We'll have to invite Hoof and Mouth too.
No, Jamie. No,
okay,
no,
maybe
that's
not.
at the medical convention.
All right.
So we're going to play a little bit of a piece that you recently did that showcases your vacation villas that you and your husband Jerry are curating.
Yes.
And we had that on Dropbox, so we're going to just see if I think we downloaded it. So this is so set this up a little bit for us, Glenn.
So we have our businesses. We have own separate businesses, but we help each other very much. So on our Sonoran Living segments on Friday morning, we did a segment on Sedona Vacation Village, which is Jerry's business. He's built this business from scratch. He is a connoisseur on that industry, on the vacation home industry. And we were so happy to showcase it on Sonoran Living. So that's what you're about to see.
Okay, good.
Glenn Scarpelli of Sedona Now TV back with us this morning to talk about Sedona Vacation Villas. And oftentimes before people book any kind of vacation, they go online and they want to see the reviews. And you have hundreds.
Sedona Vacation Villas has hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews. We are sending you in the right direction today, folks.
Yeah.
And we have a little tip. We're going to send you directly to their website, sedonavacationvillas.com, and it's going to save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars on all the fees that HomeAway and Air BnB and VRBO charge on their websites.
And you don't.
Exactly, but you could find these properties there too. But save yourself money, sedonavacationvillas.com, the new standard in Sedona, home vacation rentals.
I love that. And the best part is, who doesn't want to save a little money before they go on vacation to spend money? All right, so we're going to look at each villa separately, starting with the Canyon Villa.
Oh, the Canyon Villa. Yes, in beautiful Oak Creek Canyon, world famous Oak Creek Canyon. There's Oak Creek right there. The Canyon Villa is walking distance. You can hear it from the Canyon Villa. Look at those views.
Oh, gosh.
It's one of the most special streets in the canyon because you can see canyon views in one direction and Red Rock views in the other direction. Look at that. I mean, waking up in the morning and seeing that first thing.
Who would want to leave?
Right. This is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. They're all master suites, but listen to this, Susan, on their own floor.
What?
So talk about privacy, right? For a family or for a group that just wants to have their own privacy. Look, that's the center bathroom the center bedroom, master
Gorgeous.
suite. Look at that. Everyone has gorgeous, gorgeous views, fully equipped kitchen, and such amazing common space. I mean, just heavenly, filled with art and decor.
Wow, that's just the first one. Okay, so hold your breath. Let's go to the Forest Villa.
Oh, the Forest Villa. The Forest Villa is in beautiful uptown Sedona. You have your own over an acre of private land with beautiful red rock views backing the national forest. Totally private and secure. You are in your own oasis. And look, that's actually a meditation wheel, private just for you and your guests, and walking distance to some of the most beautiful hikes in all of Sedona.
Absolutely breathtaking.
And a 3-minute walk to uptown Sedona, where you can do all your shopping and tours and restaurants. And then you can actually just walk back to your private retreat, which has a master king suite and also a queen suite. And it's just so quiet and tranquil and beautiful and clean.
Beautiful.
Another
Glenn,
fully
that
equipped
is
kitchen.
magnificent.
And what's also great about this
I'm
is
so
that
happy
it's
that you
dog
guys have a
friendly.
room there
That's
for
the
me
best
because
part,
I'm
because a lot of
ready.
people
I'm
like to
packed.
travel, of course, with
Anybody
your
want
fur
top?
friends.
Yes, I know I do.
And congratulations.
Where do you want to go?
I'm just good. I'll stand by the window and just gaze
stare.
out. We're going to break for commercial right now. We'll be right back with our guests, Melinda Liberatore and Glenn Scarpelli.
Step 1. Dramatic introduction. I am Magus Elgar.
Magus Thadlor Elgar is one of the more respected casters in all of Hearth.
The dragon bone plate in my skull probably needs its focus enchantment line.
Though don't expect to go under his tutelage unscathed.
Well, you know what they say. Pretension can turn intention into the best retention.
Nobody says that.
No, not really.
You can hear Magus Elgar and his exciting adventures. Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
On Is It Philosophy, we are not going to explore the philosophers of times long forgotten. We're not going to ponder Plato or Socrates. There's so many podcasts out there for that, if that's what you're seeking. This is something different. A place where all ideas are welcome. An open forum to talk about anything and everything. We take an idea and work to find an answer. It may not be the most insightful. Hell, it may not even be an answer at all. So come and listen with an open mind. Who knows, you may like what we have to say. If not, at least we've given you something to think about. So come and enjoy and ask yourself, is it philosophy?
I love how the title of the show is a philosophical question. So we're back with Glenn Scarpelli and Jamie Elcroft. Dina Friedman is with us at the panel. Of course, in the booth, we have Lane McFadden and Francesco Demanda. And this is one of my, I don't know if, I knew Glenn before you. I'm sorry, he wins, Melinda. But
okay.
Melinda is like...
I met you right after you met Glenn.
Ooh, Neil Armstrong just fell off the wall. So last week I...
Oh, there's a non sequitur.
Right. So
Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Armstrong has just fallen off the wall.
So what's funny about this is that as a kid, Glenn, I sent away to NASA and I got these pictures that came back after the moon landing, and they lived on my wall, the wall of my bedroom throughout my childhood. And last week I hung them up in commemoration of the 50th anniversary, and they just, as the show progressed, they just were falling one by one. And I said, it's like ironic that Neil is like, we went to the moon and you can't keep a picture on a wall. And I'm like, and I'm talking to him in my head. I'm like, well, Neil, you guys had less gravity
and more funding. Much more funding.
More funding.
Yes.
Better adhesive.
More funding.
Yeah, that's the
that
answer.
is key.
James.
That is key right there.
Yeah. Anyway, so this week, Glenn, I sent away for professional gaffer's tape, which is a professional term that we know in show business, and still Neil falls off the wall. All right. So Melinda is like practically the first Premier Radio employee that was ever hired. She tripped on me in a screening. We were screening some film. How did you get into a screening?
Because my friend from college said, you want to go to a screening? I'm like, of course, because when you're 20, you want to go to any screening you can go to.
I'll go to a screening.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so we went to some screening. I don't even remember what it was, but you guys were sitting behind me and you told me what you did. And I said, when can I come start working for you?
She's like, I'm completely available
Exactly.
to begin tonight. So she was like, what we did was we interviewed celebrities. That was one of the things that we did.
Who doesn't want that job?
Right. So she's at college and I'm telling her, well, you may have to talk to Sting. Her eyes got so wide.
I might have to talk to Sting.
She was like, all right, let me just figure out how to handle that.
It was really cool. And we had so much fun. We
We
really,
did.
really
So
did.
we had all kinds of adventures together.
We did. It was fun.
But now Melinda's on the show because she is an actual person who rents out
an Airbnb
in her guest cottage.
I have a guest house in my backyard. Actually, it's funny because it was a really bad work shed when we bought our house.
So it's like really almost nearly impossible for you to follow Jerry's villas. But go ahead.
Exactly. Like Jerry's villas are not what we are. But I got to say, we're cool and we're in Los Angeles. I mean, nothing against Sedona. Sedona's great. But we're basically in our backyard. We bought the house, and we were looking for like 2 years for a house that had everything we wanted. And we wanted to have a guest house because we thought we would use the income of having someone rent to help pay our rent, because back in the day we were like, how are we going to do this?
Young couple,
so anyway, we saw this house, and it was a terrible house. It was like everything had to be redone, but it had this area in the back with like plumbing. And I looked at my husband like, we got to get this house. So we got it, and we turned it into the house is great.
So click on the link, gentlemen.
Right. So this place is our guest house.
So this is our headline, an Oasis, Sherman Oaks guest cottage.
And all of our guests that stay, they actually do confirm that it is very Oasis-ish. Is that a word?
Oasis-ish.
Oasis-ish. Anyway, so basically my husband, it was his studio to start. After we had some renters, and finally he's like, you know what, I want this to be my art studio. I'm like, okay. But he was on location all the time, and I'm like, we're just wasting this awesome space while you're out of town for 4 months. I said, so why don't we try Airbnb? And we're both kind of like, well, we could do it for a month and see how it works. We were kind of, like we had no idea. So we set it up, made it cute, and it's been amazing. It's been 5 years, and we have people that come back year after year. We have repeat customers.
Well, you guys, Tony's really good at making everything cute. Like you guys have made your house cute, and you've made your guest house cute.
So I'm married to an artist who has like amazing ideas, but sometimes they're way over the top, so I have to bring them back.
He's a storyboarder, so like he'll draw pictures of like cars going off cliffs and stuff. Like it's like we can't. Our house can't do that.
Right. It's like how much more wood structures can we build? But it's okay because together we're a really good team. So I bring him back to I find the furniture. I kind of do most of it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, you do a lot.
But he does have like he's the big picture. Like he insists on having wood and trim in every room.
Wait, and I just want to say, like, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, it really does look as cute as these pictures. Like, I know that, like, Glenn, when I was watching your piece, it was like photography is so important, right, in telling the story that you want to tell and conveying the message of what it's going to feel like to be here. Photography is key. And it looks like you both have done a really good job with capturing the environment.
I mean, there's one thing that Tony's great at. My husband is he's got an eye. He's an amazing photographer. I guess if you're a storyboard artist, you're coming up with shots all the time, so that's your thing. So
images,
right? Images. Yeah. So he took all the shots. But we really it's such a fun thing to do. We meet people from all over the world, and it's really just a great way to make extra cash.
And
so
I noticed, go ahead.
No, I was just going to read, because if you go to that, I mean, there's B&Bs all over the world, and somewhere someone sat down and had to write out, their Tinder profile and then their Airbnb. And this is how Melinda's reads: cozy getaway, boasting hardwood floors, comfy couch, full kitchen, and vaulted ceilings. Centrally located on quiet, tree-lined street. Queen bed, comfy twin, memory foam, metal-free sofa bed.
Important.
Bath with shower, barbecue, jacuzzi, gorgeous grounds, private entrances with Wi-Fi and air conditioning and cable with free movie channels.
That's the key.
How do you learn, like, what are the key things that people are browsing and looking for that need to be in there or they're not booking?
Well, I mean, I kind of thought about like what I'd want to see. Like, where do I want to stay? I need to have Wi-Fi. And if there's going to be a sofa bed, it should be one of those memory foam ones, because who wants to sleep on a horrible...
Metal-free.
Right.
Metal-free, exactly. Memory foam, metal-free.
Those are good words.
Yeah, right?
Twin memory, too.
Exactly. It's a twin. So, and what's funny, I don't know if you saw the pictures, but the actual queen bed is elevated because we had to build into our garage to actually get a queen bed in there because it wasn't that big.
Oh, wow.
So we built it up. So it's kind of, it's a good, if you're young and you're excited about climbing up 2 stairs to get to the queen.
It's fun. It's Fort-like.
It is fun. So, I mean, I wonder sometimes if that is, people go, well, I don't want to go up the stairs. But most people come in and they're like, we love the bed. The loft is so fun.
It's fun.
It's such a great view from up there. So I think it's cute.
Yeah,
I've never
it's
slept in
great.
there, actually, believe it or not. Tony and I was like, we need to like sleep in our guest house.
Well, you have to book ahead.
Exactly. It's super busy.
It says here that Melinda is a super host. So how do you earn this impressive ranking? Does it come with a ceremony?
All right, so super, exactly. You know what? You actually get like $100 free to travel on Airbnb when you're a super host. So that's cool.
Is that based on how people rate you?
It's both. So it's like how fast you respond to people when they request your your house, how many times you say yes or no, and how many ratings you get 5 stars. And they go through. There's like this whole rating thing about cleanliness and communication and location. So if you get 5 stars and you get 5 stars for 6 months or something, and they keep track of it, then you become a super host. So I've been a super host almost the whole time. I think one time I had to cancel someone because they didn't tell me they were 20 and bringing 15 guys. Seriously, you guys. So I had to cancel them. And Airbnb was mad at me, but I don't care because I don't want 15, 20-year-olds in my guest house. But you know what I'm saying.
Right,
so
right,
yeah,
right.
but for the most part, the whole time we've been a super guest, our super hosts, and we have super guests also. So it's such a cool way to make money. They're changing the rules now, so it's getting a little, we're lucky because we have a guest house in our backyard, but people are doing this with their apartments. And it was, in Los Angeles, there's a lot of people need housing. So to rent an apartment and then Airbnb it and rent another apartment and Airbnb it was getting a little crazy here in LA. So they've changed the rules a little bit.
So tell us about the rule change. We found an article about that, and
so the rule change is this: basically, unless the property is on your full-time primary residence, you don't get to Airbnb your property.
So you mean that means guest house?
So, well, guest house, but then there's a little, and I'm trying to figure this out, so I'm not sure because I might be telling all your listeners to just call me directly because they're saying our guest house is permitted, but it's not permitted in the new, I guess LA has approved people to do these granny flats, but they're really expensive. They're I forgot what they're called, 80, you guys know what I'm talking about? Basically, you take your garage, you turn it into a legitimate residential
like a
structure.
mother-in-law.
Yeah, it's like a granny suite where you can actually rent it, but you have to get a permit for that. And mine is a permit for a rec room back in 1960, so I'm not really sure. But it has a bathroom, so I'm not sure how it's going to work with me. But we'll just see how it goes when it goes. It's a little bit. Listen, it's on my property. They just want to make sure that you're home and there's not big, huge parties happening in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
I guess a lot of people in Venice were having a lot of problems because they would rent houses, full of houses, and there'd be huge parties, and people buy homes in that neighborhood that live there and not have to deal with, a bunch of people at next door they don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just increased traffic, increased noise, and people want to know who's coming and going. And
I was going to ask you actually if there have ever been any issues with neighbors or anything like that.
So we're really, really lucky because we live on the corner. So my guests drive up and park on like a tree-lined street on the side of my house where I don't have any neighbors, and then they enter behind my garage and they walk on their own little private entrance, so no one even knows they're back there. It's super secluded and quiet. Even me. Actually, sometimes what I usually do is I'm like, okay, when you guys get, just the doors open, come on in. So sometimes I don't. Actually, I had guests last week. I barely saw them. I had to the night before they left, I saw them. But for the most time, they'll check in, they'll call me, and I'll go back and give them a little tour. I'm like a little innkeeper. That's what I am now. I'm like
and they just pay on their phone, so you never really have to. They can just leave.
Airbnb pays me. So they check in, and I get money the next day.
How do you
direct deposit into my account.
How do you do the key exchange?
So I just leave the door open for them because now here's the thing: if it was if it was more exposed, I wouldn't do that. But because they have to know where to go, like they're going to look for the star and they're going to go in the back door and they're going to walk through you know what I mean? Then I wouldn't leave the door open. And it would be more. But there's a key inside, so I always tell them because of course once they get there, they want to lock the door and make sure that their items are safe. But sometimes they don't because it really is private back there. And it's it's funny. I have a neighbor who had I don't know if it was their carpets cleaned or whatever yesterday, and she wanted to bring her cat over because no one was there yesterday, and it's just so peaceful back there. Like she was just shocked at how quiet and peaceful and just special it is back there. I've had we've rented it a couple times. I have had like a lot of screenwriters live back there and write. I don't know. Movies. It's
so
cool,
people use it like almost like an extended stay kind of like living space.
Sometimes, like I had
that
a friend,
are local.
Yeah, well, I had a friend, and usually we've been doing Airbnb this whole time. But I had a friend. There's new rules. Also, I didn't tell you about the Airbnb rules about the time. So Airbnb is now saying you can't go over 120 days out of the year. So I had a friend call. She had a friend who was going through divorce, needed somewhere to stay. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? We'll have him stay because I only have 120 days out of the year. I might as well make money any other way. So we're open to that. It's funny. Everyone in the neighborhood knows we have the Airbnb. So I say, just call me directly if your family friends are in town. And we have people staying all the time. It's so convenient. They're in the hood and they can see their kids and go spend the time with their kids or their family members, and then just come back to our house. And then sometimes they're like, we have a jacuzzi, so they bring their kids back and they're all in the jacuzzi. It's fun. It's a really, really cool way to do this. I mean, it's not Sedona Village. You know, what was it called? It's not like 3 stories, the Sedona Villas, but it's cute and little, and it's compact. It's got everything you need.
So what I want to know is, have there ever been like emergencies or like people waking up in the middle of the night or like anything crazy?
The only thing is people don't listen. Like I send them a whole, like, here's how you get in, here's what you do, and they won't. So they're like, oh, we're getting in at midnight. Okay, well, here's what you do, and they don't write. Then they knock on my door. It's okay, whatever. I'm like, then I had to show them back there. It's fine.
No, we have a little. We're gonna put on a little bit of a show. I hope you know. Melinda's an actor.
We're gonna put on.
I'm an actor.
Yeah, Melinda's
too.
an actress. Glenn's
What are we
an
doing?
actor. We're gonna do. It's gonna be called Message Board Theater. It's the name of the show, and I think it's gonna be picked up for at least 12 episodes. So I found a message board for a forum for Airbnb hosts, and they go on there and talk to each other about what the hell's gone wrong with their situation. So this is an excerpt of a conversation which we will perform. And I wrote 3 roles, and I don't know if you have your script in front of you, Glenn. Do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, all right. Well, I can give you your line. You're gonna have the line it's like the curtain comes down after you say your line.
Oh God!
And I'll give it to you when we get there.
These are reviews, huh?
No, it's a message board where people who have an Airbnb like you go on and say, this is my situation, what should I do? And then other Airbnb people, and they talk the lingo, you know?
Okay.
So,
Gross.
Jamie, I'm going to let you play Bellwood Ranch, and Mel, you're going to be playing Kona Cocoa Nuts.
Okay.
And curtain up.
Stained sheets, pieces of the fridge, the shelves were left on the kitchen floor. Why? We found random screws on the kitchen counter, and we're not sure what they broke or what they belong to yet. They left the place a mess. Towels, sheets, pillows everywhere. Food left out all over the counters and personal items left behind. Yeah, normally I would say a stained sheet is a cost of doing business. But these guys were terrible to deal with, and they had an additional guest. Would you file a claim in the Resolution Center? I want to file a claim for the sheet, the mattress protector, and for the additional guest, but I'm not sure what to charge for that. I'm going to leave an honest review too, i.e., we do not recommend hosting X and his friends. They treated our apartment as a party house and ignored our house rules. They went into parts of the house that we asked them not to, and they were not part of the Airbnb. They damaged several items in our apartment and didn't let us know, and had additional guests that weren't approved. My biggest regret is not just trying to get through air to have them kicked out after they disrespected rules on day one, and that we gave them a second chance. What would you do?
Exactly. What are you doing? People like this need to never use Airbnb again. A review like that will seal their fate. That's true.
Thanks. You always reply so quickly, and I appreciate your advice. Would you file a claim too? This will be a first time for me.
Yes, absolutely. File it. And they probably won't leave a review because after behaving so badly, but just in case, leave yours at the last second. This is killing me because it's true. Sorry you had to do this. They're little shits. We should not be renting.
Thanks for the additional guest. Should I just do our normal additional guest fee?
Yes, include that in the
I don't know.
the
I thought it was
rest center
your
request.
lingo.
I hope you took pics before you cleaned up. What losers!
We did. Gross, disgusting pics, but we got them.
Okay, this is your line, Glenn. You're going to say,
Please. I got it. I got it now.
Okay, go.
Okay. Please untag me in these pics and send me my condoms and toothbrush. 1 star.
Yeah, actually, if you've ever been an Airbnb guest, because I've been a guest, we rented an Airbnb in Iceland, and we got there, and it was like a frat house, and I'm like, that's it, we are not staying here, and I did. I took tons of pictures. There was gross mold in the bathroom, and the toilet was it was so gross, and we got it. I'm basically in Iceland with my, it's so easy to be on your computer in a restaurant trying to figure out how to get a hold of Airbnb when you're in Iceland. Anyway, I figured it out, and we got our money back, no problem. And actually, Airbnb is awesome because I had a freaky girl. I've only had one weirdo stay in my Airbnb. It's because I went against my rule, which is I don't let people come without a review. And if they don't have a review, I make them tell me all about them. But this girl, I went against what I was doing. I let her stay, and she was crazy. Anyway, she took my key. Airbnb paid to have all my locks changed.
Wow.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. They were responsive.
So, do you think that the honesty of the internet on both sides of the transaction makes it easier for people to know what they're getting into, whether it's eBay or Airbnb, because you review, or Uber, you review the driver, review the passenger, right?
It's the review. Now, unless they're super terrible, and it's so funny because I had this one guy who was so bad, but I didn't want to get a bad review, so I wasn't going to review him until the last second, like they said, and I ended up not reviewing him, but he left my place a disaster. And I've only had it, this is the second time it was him and he had kids, and there was just, I'm like, why are there sheets in the shower?
Oh my God.
It was bizarre.
Is it scary to give a bad review because they know where you live?
Yeah, I know it's a little weird. You think about it, I'm like, how important is it? And you know what? But I don't want a bad review, because you get a bad review and then that's it. So you don't want to have a bad review, because think about it. When I'm reading Airbnb reviews, if there's one little thing, I'm like, we're not staying there.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's important. Yeah. But so what the great thing about it is that Airbnb takes your credit card, and then they pay me, and it's all done. And then if I give them a good review and they give me a good review, then everything's great. And like I said, we really haven't had any bad reviews.
Do we have Jerry joining us now, Glenn?
We do.
I'm here.
Awesome. So, Jerry, when you don't use Airbnb or an online sort of hub to book people, how do you guys know who's coming and whether or not you can trust them in your properties?
Well, both Airbnb and HomeAway have reviews both for the host and for the guest that's coming. So, like Melinda, we rely heavily on reviews. But to be perfectly honest, at our properties, I would say 45 or 50% of our guests are return visitors. They come when they got married. They came when they got divorced. They came when somebody passed away. And they use Sedona as a sort of spiritual healing place. So we get a lot of repeat visitors, and they become family.
Oh, so Jerry, tell us how you met Glenn, because you're so cute together.
Okay. Well, Glenn and I have a long history. And at one time, I was even up to produce a show that he was on NBC called Fantasy. And I was young at the time, and it was the one show I turned the job down. And when I turned it down, my agent asked me, well, why? I mean, this is a great gig. Why are you turning it down? Well, when I went into the executive producer, I'm going to leave his name out of here for now. But I went in there, and it was like the typical, kind of story that you might see in a movie line, where he's having his nails done and his hair done. And when I went back to my agent, I said, if I took this gig, I'd be doing my job and I'd be doing the executive producer's job.
Right.
And I get paid for one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pass on this and look for something else. So I've known Glenn, even in Sedona, I knew Glenn for, I don't know, over 20 years before we dated. And I thought, well, he's too much to handle. I want nothing to do with him.
Glenn.
I went a simple boyfriend. And then I realized he was the best thing in the world for me. He's just so full of laughter. He's just has amazing gifts that most people don't realize. I think if you measured his IQ, he'd be off the charts. And he's just, we have so much fun together. We really do. And, we have similar industries that overlap. And he brings so much to the table because I can put all his commercials for all the different restaurants on my website and help guests guide them on where to go and what to do. And we have so many wonderful connections in town. I've been here for 27 years, and you've been here for 25 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. That's so sweet of you to put that up on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And we have an amazing time together, and we have an amazing way that we can synergize between our two industries. So in addition to the HomeAway and Airbnb, you're looking at our website, and we put together a professional website. We're building 2 additional villas. We're in it to win it in this industry. I sit on the advisory board for HomeAway, the community advisory board, so we get to see all the new and improved ways we're going to communicate through various systems. There's the Experience Sedona Now section of the website that shows you the hiking and dining and shopping and vortex experiences. And then if you click those, you go into different commercials, and it's very interactive. And we probably do as many bookings directly through our website than we do through the big booking engines. And people come to love the idea that they come directly to us. We're very interactive and we're very intuitive on the websites where everything can be paid in the same way that you can do it on Airbnb and HomeAway.
Smart.
And do it without the service fees charged by the other booking engines.
And I have a question.
And I have to say, Melinda, you're rocking it.
Yes, Melinda, we want to stay at your place.
You guys should come over, please. Please just call me directly. Call me directly. You guys know.
Say that again?
No fees. Call me directly.
Melinda,
I love it. Let's do a house trade.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I would love to do a house trade. Can I stay in one of those awesome condos? They look amazing.
Okay.
I have a quick
Melinda has a
question. I have a question for you guys. So I don't know what the rules are in Sedona, but are there rules about you have to live on the property, and if you're not, what for Airbnb? Like, are they more lenient in Sedona?
Well, I was a part of a particular statewide ordinance or statewide law called Senate Bill 1350 that made vacation rentals legal throughout the entire state. So we had the issue, Sedona and Scottsdale were adverse to vacation rentals. And then I bought a property outside of Sedona, just right outside the city boundaries in Coconino County. And I worked with Kate Morley and Zachary Schwartz at the Community Development Division. And we used our property, our Canyon Villa, as a test for all the issues that were brought up against vacation rentals, like noise and nuisance and parking and quiet hours and things like that. We established a whole series of rules. And in fact, when Senate Bill 1350 passed, it was a little more lenient than the rules that I had been following. And I still keep my strict rules because I want to have good relationships with my neighbors. And I want to be a friendly person to the community. And my guests up in the canyon love me. I'm the only guy that plows the entire neighborhood when we have one of our rare snowstorms in Sedona. And it really pays to be a good neighbor, communicate well. I've offered my property, as you did, Melinda, to different guests in the neighborhood when they had guests visiting. And it's just to keep everything loving and friendly and kind and above board. And we think we're a fine addition to each neighborhood. We also have properties that border the U.S. Forest Service. We have the oldest privately held parcel of land in Sedona. Our deed of trust goes back to late 1800s, where they separated private land from public land to make the U.S. Forest Service. And
but you don't have to live on the property.
No, we don't have to live on the property.
So you guys are lucky.
No rules like that whatsoever.
Yeah, Los Angeles just like the hammer just dropped. So, and I get it, but it's like we're like in this weird. We've had this guest house. It has had a bathroom this whole time, and we bought the house this way. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe if you took a fence and attached it to your house, it'd be like they're connected.
It's the permit thing. That's the thing. They're really, they want you to sign up. Now, if you sign up and then your permit's wrong, then they might make you take everything. I don't want to lose it. It's such a cute little whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
We had the opposite problem. We had to have permits initially, and then at a certain point when the bill went through at the state level, that all went away. And there's kind of this whole weight and balance thing.
Right.
I'm meeting with the mayor of Sedona coming up soon, and we're talking about ways that we could let different neighborhoods decide what they want or what they don't want, and we're going to use the device of their HOA, because a homeowners association is a private contract between the buyer and the homeowners and the association, and they can create their own covenants and rules. And much of Sedona is governed by homeowners associations, but in many cases they're inactive. Some of the realtors would tell people that they're defunct, but there's no such thing as a defunct association. It's either active or inactive. And one of the notions we're going to work on in Sedona is to teach local citizens how to reactivate their HOAs and take back some of their neighborhoods. So, I think everybody should have a flavor, and it shouldn't be one size fits all. And there should be areas where you can do it, and there should be areas where people who don't want to live under those types of circumstances should have the lifestyle they choose. And there's room for everyone in this industry.
Right. And I think working together and just having a personality where you listen is so it's so helpful in a situation like this, because people can be very emotional when it comes to where they live and what's happening on their street. And so if you come at them as like their friend, then they're much more relaxed about, oh, it's my friends have people over, rather than these people I don't know keep parking. You know what I mean? It's like all about relationships, I think.
Yeah, it's about being really considerate, which we are. And, it's such a fun, great thing. The neighbors love it. I mean, really, everyone thinks it's really, and because we're open to their family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want your family to stay
You're an
around the
asset.
corner from you?
Sure,
Yeah,
you're an
exactly.
asset.
It's good.
Do other neighbors have Airbnbs in your?
I have a neighbor up the street who just got an Airbnb and she loves it. She actually did that ADU with the city where she actually turned her garage. And mine's not a garage. Mine's attached to the garage, but it's its own freestanding. Well, it's attached to the garage, but it's not the garage. Hers is actually, she turned her entire garage into the guest house, and they're renting it all the time. And it's fun because if I don't have availability, I'll send people to her and vice versa, which is really great. So we're both really, really busy, and she's great and loves it. And she was worried because they need to make the money to pay their mortgage. So she's like, "Is it going to work?" I'm like, "It's going to work, and you're going to make more money than just renting it." And she's like, we have to keep doing it because it's paying our bills. I'm like, well, good. Yeah. And so it's fun because you actually end up feeling like you're an innkeeper. Like we have a little chalkboard. We're like, welcome, whoever. It's fun. I like, and I'm not sure if these guys do the same thing because it's a little more. But like, I have a fridge that's stocked with like all waters and Cokes. It's like crafty in there. You guys,
craft services.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, because why not?
Well, Glenn would like that.
Exactly. I mean, to go to Costco and buy Cokes, you're spending like $7 on a whole case of Cokes. People love it. They're
you're being hosty.
Exactly. I'm totally hosty. Anyway, it's good.
Our house, where we currently live, has a guest house exactly how you're describing, like attached to the garage, but otherwise like unattached from the main house.
Right.
And we have a pool in the back, and we, that like anybody staying in the guest house has access to, and like a separate entrance. So we always think about,
you should do it.
Doing it. My biggest concern, though, like what it seems to me is like the biggest issue with Airbnb is like a loss of some sense of privacy. I don't know if like maybe my house is smaller than yours, or it just feels like.
So here's how it is. So and from the pictures you can't really tell.
Yeah.
But my house is I have it set up so that people really like if they're sitting in their little area near the jacuzzi, they can't see into my house. So we're sharing, and they know that they're sharing my property because it says you're sharing the backyard with someone.
Right.
But the way we have it set up, you don't really see them. And you know what? Honestly, to tell you the truth, most people, summer's a little different, but most people are coming to work. Like they're coming to LA to go sightsee, so they're not even home. So we rarely ever see them. Like I'm telling you, there are people that like check in and I never see them. They're working or they're doing whatever, and I don't see them at all. So then there's the ones that like camp in your backyard for the entire time, and you're like, hi again. But
all right, we're gonna jump to Facebook feed time because we're running late on time, and so we're gonna check Facebook feed time. And all I had to do really for Facebook feed time was to go to Glenn's Throwback Thursday posts, which are epic. So Glenn is really, really good at Facebook. You guys, he combines his really super fun history with what he's currently doing in a really engaging way. Basically, it's topless. Would you want to describe the pose, Glenn?
No.
Okay. So Glenn,
let me just ask
I
you
wouldn't
this.
call that topless. I would call that shirtless.
Yeah,
because there is a
shirtless.
jacket.
And what was your waist size then? 12?
no.
right. So Glenn,
Size
you
of my ankle now.
Glenn, why don't you read the caption?
I got it. Okay, Throwback Thursday. Was I actually able to wrap my hands like that around my waist?
Oh.
What? Now they barely fit around my thigh. You. I do wish I still had that cool 80s leather jacket, though. That was fun. Happy throwback, everybody. Team Tin Up.
So, and there's a ton of engagement. Like everybody has something to say.
Conan,
there's
and Conan
gifs of,
even
of Conan like going, ooh, look at that. Lots of eyebrows going up and down in the GIF column. And Jamie, you can read the next one because there's more fun with it. Every Thursday is fun with Glenn on Facebook.
Throwback Thursday, a little Love Boat memory. I did 3 episodes. In this one, I drugged Vicky,
What the hell, Glenn?
daughter, played by my BFF and lifelong friend Jill Whelan. In this scene, my character took too much speed. Oh boy, that happens all the time.
Looks kind of relaxed for that.
And I wound up in the doctor's office. I was a bad boy. LOL. I loved every second of working on the Love Boat. Happy throwback, everybody. Sorry you'll probably have this theme song running through your mind all day now. It's happening to me too. Enjoy. How was that? Pretty good impression of Glenn?
Expecting you. So Glenn,
Thank you, Jerry.
So on the Love Boat, were you ever on an actual boat?
Yeah.
I was never on the
Never
actual
on a boat.
Actually, they did a few episodes a year. Pat Harrington got to go on a boat at the actual cruise. That was cool.
Did he check
And
his jewel belt?
Jill would go all the time. But no, I got as far as Santa Monica Boulevard.
Right. Right. And those are fun to watch. I went on a cruise maybe a year ago, and on a loop on one of the TV channels is just Love Boat.
Boom.
And it's hypnotic. Once you watch one, you're not going to get off the ship. You're just locked.
Yeah.
That show is so fun to watch.
Well, they play Love Boat on those ships.
Yeah,
You'll never watch Titanic on one of those ships. They don't really loop those in.
Not as often.
Not as often.
Well, you guys have been just a blast to have with us. I want to thank you and give a shout out for where people can find you online and for vacation rentals and for everything else that they need to find to enjoy what you're up to.
Yeah.
Well, vacation rentals could be found at SedonaVacationVillas.com. You talk to this gentleman. For Sedona Now TV, it's SedonaNow.com. And you can find me, obviously, on Facebook.
Yeah.
With all the Throwback Thursdays. I'm also on Instagram at Glenn Scarpelli and Twitter at Glenn Scarpelli.
Awesome. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find us on Airbnb, and I have a link, but I don't know how to do it orally.
It's the Oasis.
It's the Oasis in Sherman Oaks. But actually, since we might not be able to do Airbnb, I don't know. You guys can
just call Mel.
You can just call me.
Yeah.
Or you can email me. How's that? You can email me at organizedbymel@gmail.com. I'm a professional organizer. That's what I do for a living.
She's
organizedbymel@gmail.com.
Yeah, you're fantastic. And I want to thank everyone for being with us. Thank you, Francesco Damondo, Lane McFadden, Dina Friedman, Jamie Elcroft, Bill Filipiak, John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker. Thank you, Glenn and Jerry, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.